Welcome to the magic of mosquitoes. They say that mosquitoes have no purpose. They say they're just annoying bugs. But they are wrong. Mosquitoes are what keeps the universe together, and without them, it would fall apart. But now, humans are taking their war too far, and things are going to get bad. For both sides. Part 1, Chapter 1, Jade. Jade flew through the trees, sniffing the sweet scents of the saps around him. He was a boy mosquito, which meant that he did not suck blood, but eat the nectar from trees and flowers. He also had the power to control plant life. All mosquitoes had powers, some kind of or another. Some could control water, some could control weather. Some could control the growth of giant trees, but each power was equally as important in keeping the world together. But the humans didn't understand that. The constant war against humans, however, was necessary, Jade knew. If there wasn't a war, the humans would grow suspicious. They would know of the mosquitoes' powers, and they would try to steal them, or worse. Zippy, Jade's sister, who had the ability to hear any language, had reported the humans were developing some kind of weapon, something that could wipe mosquitoes off the face of the earth forever. If they succeeded in this, then the entire world would fall apart, and everyone would perish, including the humans. Jade was so wrapped in his thoughts that he didn't notice the foul smell until it was almost right in front of him. It was one of the insecticides the humans sprayed on their plants. He quickly turned to avoid its poisonous touch. It seems to be more and more present now, this horrible poison. At first, it was rare. Sure, mosquitoes were killed by it, but mosquitoes face death every day. Jade was only 2 days old, after all, and he was lucky to have survived those 2 days. In a matter of once he hatched the egg, he had faced almost being eaten by fish, dogs, being squashed, being swatted, being eaten by snakes, and all kinds of other deadly occurrences. But he escaped. He escaped all of it, unharmed. And he survived to give the plants life. He came upon a rotting sapling, drooping sadly. He quickly flitted around it and breathed more life into it, so it stood tall again. It would grow into a fine tree. That's when he saw it, the giant human. It stood, taller than most, gargantuan among the forest, almost as tall as the greatest oak trees. In its hand, it held a basket of some kind, a humongous woven net, and it bellowed. The vibrations coming from its mouth were so much that they knocked Jade off the plant that he was on and to the ground, where he shivered. He was too young for this. This was the first human he'd ever actually seen up close. Zippy has told him about them, about how big they were, about how power-hungry they were. But this was more than he'd expected. It stomped forward, its feet shaking the earth, ants crawling from the soil and crawling away to wherever safety they hoped to find. But the human didn't even care, didn't even notice. It squashed tiny plants beneath its feet. It squashed animals, too, little invertebrates screaming for help. And still Jade sat under that tiny sapling that he had nursed back to life, sat waiting for the human to pass by him. But the human stopped right in front of him. It reached down with a bellow and grabbed him in its giant hand. He squished himself between 2 big fingers so as not to be squashed to a pulp. But the human did not intend to kill him. No. its fate for him was much worse. It dropped him into the giant netted basket, where he landed on a pile of leaves. More bellowing, more screaming. And then he felt himself being moved, dragged uncontrollably through the woods. He didn't know what was happening. Why him? There were so many bugs there to pick up. Why did the human decide to pick him up? His 2 days of life may soon come to an end, he realized. He closed his eyes, then opened them again. He wasn't going to give up, not this easily. Chapter 2, Sparky. Sparky hatched, and it was with a bang. She flew out of her egg. Literally flew. No larva, no squirming in the water. She was a yellow, dazzling flame. Her sisters were little worms. She could see them squirming around in the pond, but not her. She had wings, and she buzzed them with excitement. And from the sky, a crack of thunder came, and a bolt of lightning zapped towards the water. It hit the water with a crash, and everything inside of it was immediately electrocuted. Sparky did not know at the time, but she had caused it. She zoomed out of the pond, zoomed through the trees, happily skittering and making all these sounds, clicking her antennae together. She was happy. Happy, happy, happy. She blasted more lightning from the sky. Trees caught on fire, cracked down the middle, and fell over. Birds flew off in waves of shrieking fear. Ah! Ah! They called, telling their fellows a crazy freak storm was on the run, something they'd never seen. But still Sparky flew on. Bzzz. She flew in circles around the ears of a human, then another lightning flash. The human's barbecue, which he was cooking at the time, went up in flames. Bzzz. Sparky flew through the bars of a cage, in which a giant dog sat. It barked at her. Bzzz, bzzz. More lightning. The dog jumped back in fear. Bzzz. Sparky flew out of the cage, flew through the air, happiness, jubilation enveloping her, at least until she saw the branch. It was right up ahead of her, giant and curling out of the ground like a claw. More lightning, but this time it did nothing except blind her, and she flew head first into the branch, falling down to the ground with an oof, oof. She opened up her eyes. There, through her giant compound eyes, she could see it. A bluish-colored mosquito staring at her. And in a soft voice it said, "Hello. Quite a lot of trouble you've caused. You're just as bad as the humans." "Who are you?" said Sparky. "I'm Rivoli," said the blue mosquito. "You have put us all in great danger." Chapter 3. Jade. Jade concentrated on the leaves. These leaves were dead. He knew that. But his power over plants may have been enough to get a little more life into them. Enough for him to help, send a message to someone who could help him get out of this net. He could see the leaves now. They started to swell greener, plumper. Something in them. It was alive. There was hope. He focused harder, leaning against the side of the net. He knew he wasn't supposed to mess with nature. That was the number one rule of mosquito code. Never do anything out of the ordinary. Never draw attention to your powers. Only maintain the balance. Only keep the world safe. But Jade was in mortal danger. He knew he was breaking the law, but he couldn't help it. He would not die. Not today. He kept pushing, and the leaves somehow miraculously lifted from the floor of the net. They lifted up, 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 towards the ceiling of the net, towards where the human's hand was. The human looked down and saw the leaves. He bellowed. Jade hoped that didn't mean that he understood what was going on. He hoped the human didn't really understand about the powers. If he did, what would happen? He knew that the consequences would be catastrophic for him and the entire world. He tried not to think about it, but still, it haunted his mind. He knew the right thing to do. The right thing to do was to just let himself die. The Mosquito Code said that a single life was worth less than the entire world, after all. But he didn't want to die. Was that so wrong? Not wanting to die? Not wanting to leave the life behind? He'd only been alive for 2 days. He gritted his mandibles and continued. The leaf floated up again towards the net. One leaf, with a sharp tip, began cutting a hole through the fabrics. Perfect. Jade would be able to get out that way. Soon the hole was big enough, and Jade flitted out towards a branch that jutted from the ground like a claw. But this time, he knew what was going on. He wasn't going to let a human stop him this time. He flew towards the branch and landed on it, where he saw a small yellowish mosquito and a blue mosquito huddled together. He listened to their conversation. The yellow mosquito was jumping up and down. Look, did you see me? Did you see me? I lightninged everything. It was so cool. Did you see the flashes and that dog was so scared? It was awesome. Jade felt appalled. He thought he'd broken the mosquito laws, but this mosquito was bragging about it, bragging about an outright disturbance. The blue mosquito, however, stayed calm. Hello, Sparky. I know that what you did was fun for you and entertaining, but you've made a dire mistake. You've broken the great code. What code? Said the yellow mosquito. Also, I like the name Sparky. Can I keep that? That's a cool name. Okay, said the blue mosquito. You've just hatched, and I see that you've flown out of the river before you even had time to get briefed, said Rivoli, the blue mosquito. What river? I was born in a pond, said Sparky. It's a figure of speech, the blue mosquito added, seeming not even a little bit frustrated. How did this mosquito have so much patience? Look, mosquitoes are meant to preserve the balance, not show off their power. If all mosquito kind wanted to do this, then the world would be just as chaotic. We'd be like humans, but with infinite powers. We'd destroy the world. No, we must maintain the order. But it's so fun scaring the humans, and they deserve it, don't they? They keep trying to kill us and all that, said Sparky. The blue mosquito stared. It's not what they deserve, young one. They deserve peace, and we're here to bring it. Jade came out from behind a knot of wood where he was crouched. Chapter 4, Rivoli. When Rivoli hatched, she was different, and for so many reasons. For one thing, she was hatched in a moving lake, not a still, stagnant puddle like other mosquitoes were. Secondly, she was the only mosquito in her litter, literally the only one. Mosquitoes laid eggs by the thousands, but she was hatched alone. Instead of slithering around like crazy, she sat in the water and thought and listened and waited. And through her contemplations, she heard the birds sing. She heard the fish burble. She heard frogs flipping in and out. She heard dragonflies flying their deadly wings above her head. And in all the sounds, she heard a message. And that message was simple. Maintain the order. Maintain the order. And throughout Rivoli's life, that's the message she went by. Always maintaining the order. The Mosquito Code was more to her than a set of laws. It was reality. It was what mattered most. But so when she saw the yellow mosquito flying around, throwing her powers around like no one even cared, electrocuting an entire pond of insects, scaring dogs, showing herself to humans, she was outright appalled. How could this little yellow mosquito break the code so much? She could be destroying the entire world by doing this. She could be destroying the entire universe by doing this. But always calm, Rivoli simply flew after the little yellow mosquito. Flying, flying, flying. And as much as she wanted to intervene, to jump in, to use her own power over water, to stop this little yellow monster, she wouldn't. That would be stooping to the same level. So she kept flying after this yellow mosquito. When she reached the jutting branch, she landed and waited. And sure enough, the mosquito crashed headfirst into it. Ouch, 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 it said, and then hit the ground. There's Rivoli. And Rivoli said, "Hello. You've broken the code." That was before, but now Rivoli stood next to this little yellow mosquito, nicknamed Sparky, and another green mosquito, Jade. Apparently, Jade too had broken the code. Not in such a dire way, though. He'd told her about the humans, about the leaves that he'd used to cut open their sack. At first, Rivoli had been appalled. You saved your own life? You preserved your own life over the life of others. That's what matters most to you, yourself? Look, said Jade, you would have done the same thing if you were me. They were facing to kill me or do something worse. I couldn't just let them. I couldn't just lay down and die. I have powers. I might as well use them, said Jade. Rivoli scoffed. I would have. I would have sacrificed my own life for the good of the world, and you should have too. And this little monster, she said, pointing at Sparky. I don't like being called that. I prefer to be called a blazing ball of awesomeness. You little blazing ball of awesomeness, said Rivoli, killed an entire pond full of insects and made yourself known to half the world. I know, said Sparky. It was so cool. My power is like the coolest out of all the powers. It's like the best. I've never seen a... Jade shushed her with the click of his sharp pincers. You need to stop. You broke the code. So did you, said Sparky. No, I did. I'll admit that. I should have sacrificed my life. But you did something far worse. Rivoli stared. She didn't believe him. She didn't believe Jade for a second. Just by looking at him, she knew. She knew this was a mosquito who would do anything to survive. This was not a mosquito way. The mosquitoes sacrificed their lives. They didn't selfishly risk others. This mosquito was dangerous, just as dangerous as the yellow one, but in a different way.